Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Splinterlands Town Hall. This one is extra special because it only happens once every 4 years. It is a leap day edition of the Town Hall, February 29th, 2024. Thanks everyone for being here. It is obviously a pretty exciting time for the crypto market as a whole. And, I expect that this portends good things to come in the future for Splinterlands and other similar crypto projects. Timing wise, I feel like crypto has been very cyclical with surprisingly predictable 4 year cycles, and we're kind of at that point in the cycle where it's leading up to the halving and coming into what we expect will be a pretty exciting bull run over the next year and a half. And pretty much everything we've been doing for the last little while here has been in order to be prepared for that, to be prepared for a large influx of new players to come in. And, hopefully they'll have a great onboarding experience, get into the game, and sort of get to the level that all of you guys are at, where they kind of really get what's going on here, get the value, and become a new set of really dedicated players and monster mavericks. But just like we are, the market and the bull run is just getting started. So I think we have a long way to go. But I think it's exciting times ahead, and I definitely think the worst is behind us. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. Obviously, we had a big release earlier in the day that we're going to be, discussing a little bit more. First and foremost, I am going to turn it over to Investigator to talk about the release earlier and also what's going to be coming up.
Okay, so for anyone that missed it, we just did a release. The new ranked system was rolled out, which we talked about in the last couple of town halls, but basically the removal of the summoner level caps, removing the ability to decline advancing out of leagues, simplifying the rating system down to a plus 20, minus 20, and rolling everybody into the same leaderboard and kind of everybody's really in the same league. Leagues are kind of no longer really a concept, which is our first big phase of changes. Some other things that happened today is we finally moved the spellbook purchasing over to the new client. I know most people have not bought a spellbook in some time, but it was actually a pretty awkward experience transitioning between the two clients, and you didn't see all of the information that we intended you to see, which should now be fixed. It should be a much smoother process. And if any new users do run into issues, please let us know. The other updates for today were that we're now accepting vouchers for energy. So we are accepting them at a current rate of 100 DEC per voucher. We reserve the right to adjust that in the future, depending on how voucher prices behave. But it's a good movement forward on uses for vouchers. And there was a lot of other smaller changes that went out. We fixed up the issue with land with Zerial. Some people were getting the incorrect bonus on life death card, which is fixed now. As some people have noticed, there's two new rule sets: the Fab 4 and 5 Alive. So restricting you to only play 4 or 5 units in a battle, respectively. We also fixed an issue introduced last update or a couple updates ago when we tried to fix some of the issues with Dispel not debuffing. Cleanse and Dispel not always working quite right. There was a edge case with weapons trained monsters where things like Dispel and Having started causing them to get level 1 attacks that they didn't have otherwise. That's fixed. Something that people had been asking for a while. There's now notifications when a rental expires or if someone undelegates a card to you. Um, we added the Aqualis Market logo to our list of third-party markets, which is the market run by Crypto Eater. I believe we're going to be having another market coming on the list next update as well. Um, then there was a few smaller changes. We made some improvements to some of our APIs and cleaned up some of the transaction history information that we both return and record. That's kind of what happened today. Uh, Going forward, we've got a lot of things kind of coming out in the next, hopefully, couple months. So to try to hit the different areas. So for land, we should have our grain DEC liquidity pool coming out soon, as well as a regional balance history. So you can see all of your grain and research balances in your different plots going back through the history. So that's land. For moving stuff over to the new client, we are working on the battle history screen, which is kind of a big deal. So the main screen that most people spend their time on, we're trying to get converted over, which is also kind of an interesting process as we redo several other things that would impact that screen. But we're hoping to get that out maybe in the next update. We'll see how testing goes. Then there are some bigger picture items for the overall rework of things. So the next big thing to talk about is probably our reward rework. So I know we've talked about that a little bit in some of the past town halls, but let me see if I remember all the main points. So instead of getting chests, you're going to get some sort of token. Currently calling them reward points, but we will probably come up with a better name from creative, or once we get a final name from creative, we'll go with that. But so as you battle, you'll earn points. We will be adding a reward shop where you can go and buy chests. So you will have different options on what sort of chests that you want to spend your points on. You'll be able to spend your points getting potions or energy, chests with the soulbound cards. Related to that, we're going to be adding the ability to burn soulbound cards for these reward points. So this is going to be prior to unlocking them as real cards or making them tradable. We're going to add a simpler mechanic where you can burn excess cards to get points to go get more chests and try to roll for other cards that you might be missing. Related to this, we are also looking at making a change for gladiators. So in internal discussions, it doesn't necessarily make sense that you spend one token and then can get a different token by burning the cards for it. So we are going to be looking at making a change fairly soon where instead of burning gladiators for dark energy crystals, you will burn them for merits. So you can go get more gladiator packs with them, which is kind of the theme we're going for. You get reward points, you can get reward cards, and then burn those reward cards to try to get more chances. You get gladiator cards with merits, and if you get ones you don't need or want, you can burn them to get more gladiator packs and get more chances to get different gladiators. That process is coming along pretty well. Kind of our current focus, what we're working on as a major project, at least one of our teams. I'm probably forgetting a couple of minor details on that. Right now, for end of season, instead of getting chests, you are going to get a big bunch of points for your final rating at the end of the season. So you'll still be able to go and buy kind of end of season chests with your rewards to try to keep it similar to how things are now. Matt, anything else I'm forgetting from our discussions about this, or anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was going to talk a little bit more about the reward point shop stuff later, also, but I mean, I think you hit the major points, and the
Okay.
usual caveats apply that this all may change as we continue to work this out. So this is just our current plans.
Harry, is that your angry doggo?
Yeah, I apologize for the dog barking in the background, but apparently the wind is blowing outside, and he just wants to make sure I'm aware.
Oh, I thought
He's
he was playing ranked and he was excited about the new changes.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
I want to see this doggo next town hall. You gotta you know.
yeah. If he was on my lap a minute ago, I'll pick him up later. But so I think those are the major changes coming up. Um, we are hoping to get most of them out in the next couple months, depending on how testing and things go. Things may get tweaked as we. And apparently, I've talked too long because the dog is once again angry.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, investigator. As always, I mean the team is doing a great job with all the releases and just the smoothness. It's still I still have PTSD from how releases used to go, just like a couple years ago, and it's such a different world. I'm sure the players are also quite aware of the massive difference between releases back then and now. And we have investigator and that team to really thank for that, which is definitely keeping me sane at the very least. So thank you. Um, with
You're
that,
welcome.
we also have a special guest, Grapthar, on, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that the support team's been doing, which I think players should be excited about.
Cool. Thank you. So I wanted to first mention that the Splinterlands Sport Team has a YouTube channel now. I'm sharing it here in the town hall chat on Discord. It's youtube.com/@support.splinterlands. We're trying to do a lot more videos. We've embedded some in articles already. The goal is one a week. I missed last week, which is my fault. I got too far down a rabbit hole trying to find perfect examples for a video and it got pushed. But that'll be out tomorrow or Saturday, I think. The next big thing we want to do is a bunch of new player experience videos of various kinds to hopefully coincide with updates as they happen, to have videos ready to go the day of so people can reference those, and or articles, depending on if you prefer to actually read through an article or just skim through a video, get information that way. I know a lot of people, myself included, use a lot of YouTube tutorials and walkthroughs for all kinds of things. If you have any suggestions though about videos that you would like, that you think would be useful, problem points that you find yourself or other players are running into a lot, you can absolutely suggest those to us. You can file a ticket on support.splinterlands.com. We're happy to listen to suggestions, and if something seems very important or a lot of players are running into an issue, we'll definitely make videos on that. The only other thing I have is kind of a short update, but support is also updating the docs.splinterlands.com website. We're going through page by page, getting rid of old or inaccurate information, putting new links, new information, new images that match the game as it currently is. A lot of that was much older info. So that's a big project. It's going to take a while, but we're in the midst of that right now. So that will also be a useful resource for players. I think that's all I've got, really.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, and this is all part of the whole player experience
Sure.
project that we're doing. Like, it's not just ranked battles or onboarding and tutorials. It's everything. People come in and they look at the documentation. It's got to be up to date. People look on YouTube in different places for help videos. Yeah, different people go to different places. So we want to kind of cover all of our bases um, for that. And so I really appreciate the support team stepping up to help in all those other areas.
Yeah, cool.
Uh,
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
yeah, anytime.
Yep.
We should definitely. I'd like to get more of the team on, in more of a
Cool.
rotating fashion. I know, as awesome as Investy Nate and I are, it is good to see some new faces here and there from time to time. There's a lot more people on the team uh, behind the scenes that do the real work, and then I come on here and talk about all the things that they do. So know that most of it is not me. Um,
Yeah,
even
I
even
like
Nate and
having someone
Investy have.
else with something on their head.
Oh
I
shit!
don't,
I
I
should.
wear a hat. I got a beanie
Okay.
now. We
Okay.
got a beanie
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
team hat.
Yeah, I'm not a hat person. Although, before the town hall started, there was a question about when we're going to do cosplay town hall, and I said when SPS was $1 again, then we'll do it. So then I might have to have some headwear.
Big time. It'll look like a
Um,
D&D session.
yeah. And last but not least, before I kind of ramble on about a bunch of the stuff I've been thinking about, we have Nate the Great with the creative update.
All right. Yeah. So let me see. What time is it? I want to make sure you have plenty of time. It sounds like you got a lot in your mind, Matt. Like a lot you got to get out there. So I'll try to I don't know. I'll just tell me when to stop. How about that? Um if you guys are like me, excited about the fact that we just released a revamp to the way that leagues work. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Um I did a few battles. I haven't had a chance to really sink my teeth into it, but from what I'm sensing on Mouse Chat and other places, it seemed like people are digging it. They seem to be enjoying it. We'll see how the dust settles over the next week or two with that. But some things didn't quite make it into the initial launch, which is fine. That's how we do things. We get some out there, and then if it doesn't make it, and that's okay. The next update will squeeze in and polish and refine and just kind of make things better and better. And part of that is with the league stuff. Roy, one of our UX designers, has this. We have some obsolete old UI in the game, so I asked him to kind of freshen it up. So that's an example of some of the refresh that you'll get when you're looking at the battle overview and you click the little details. I was excited to see, hey, let's get rid of the old, in with the new. So that'll be more in line with the rest of the website now. Since some of those pages weren't changed for like, I don't know, years. Let's see. What else do we got here? That's for the league. How about what's coming up next for land? I think Harry touched on this. Uh, we're very excited. Those of you who are like, hey, land 1.5, what happened to the 1.6? Don't worry, it's coming. UI designs have been passed over. Internal testing has started. Farpatrot has went ahead and implemented. We've been able to play with the new toy and see how it's working. And so far, I haven't personally noticed any bugs, but we're gonna get some rigorous testing in there when we feel like it's right. We do one more pass to make sure the aesthetics look good. Then we'll go ahead and probably open it up to Mavs testing. Or we'll just launch with it. But I think it'd be good to open it up with the Mavs at some point. So here is an idea of the here's a swap between DEC and grain. Here's kind of like an idea of some of the liquidity pools type thing. And you'll notice that as I share this stuff, so sometimes we'll get a little criticism like, why are you guys so slow, or what's taking so long, or let's go, go, go. And I get it. I get it. On the other hand, just keep in mind just how ambitious this project is. I mean, there's Splinterlands, there's land, and then within land, we're basically building a decentralized exchange. I mean, we weren't just thinking DEC and grain. We're thinking about where's this going with Land 2.0? How can we make it scalable? How can we make sure that we're not going back to the drawing board and starting all over again when we start introducing all these other bazillion resources, right? So we wanted to make sure that the system operated with that in mind. So I hope that I hope you guys can see what we see. This is going to be cool. This is going to be pretty awesome. I can't think of many Web3 games that have this much depth to it, this much economic maturity. I guess and we have Matt to thank for a lot of that stuff. He's the one spearheading and say, "Hey, let's try this. Let's do this." So I was like, "Yes, sir." And then once we dig ourselves into it and start seeing it live on the test server, and we're like, "Wow!" Coming to fruition. It's pretty cool to see. I can't wait for you guys to get a hold of it. Particular when Land 2.0, we got a lot more resources and liquidity pools on this thing. That's gonna be well, freaking cool. Let's see what else we got here. Maybe land related. I will say that Last time I shared, I think a mine and a quarry sketches. So this time I'll share. How about I shared sketches in previous town halls for all the basic harvesting. So that would be farming for grain, getting chopping for wood, um, getting rocks and mining for ore. So let's get into more refinement. Let's see. This is a mill. So I guess that's figuring out what to do with your grain, creating some sort of food with it. Here's some concept art from where we're headed with that. And then this is cool. If you guys, I think this is for death magic, harvesting that stuff. So this is a soul extractor building. So if you guys have some swamp or bog out there that's infused with death magic, then you probably build something like this. And then every town hall, I try to share maybe a rendered version of what the sketch was, the town hall before. So if I shared mine and quarry sketches last time, then I'll share rendered versions of those. Here's a level, here's a level 5 mine that's been rendered, and here's a level 7 quarry. How about that? So that if you guys can imagine, like the current plots you have, like I said previously, you don't have many options. You got like 3 work sites, they don't level up. It's going to be so cool to be able to see all these different various buildings, all unique aesthetically speaking, and then as you level them up, seeing them get cooler and cooler looking. So if you guys are looking forward to that, I know I am. Then work is progressing with that. It's happening. I know you guys wish, hey, implement right now. Well, it's like the devs can't implement until all the artwork is done and we got all that stuff sorted out. So we'll see. And on top of that, where we can, we try to, squeeze in some animation, squeeze in some cool music or sound effects and things like that. Case in point, I know with the swap, when you swap the DEC and the grain, we wanted to make sure that little ruse, the little gremlin goblin guy with the sack, has a sack full of grain, so you can see that little spinner, uh, stuff like that. I think that little things we can do if we could sneak it in is going to raise the production quality and just make the game more fun, more fun to engage with. So it's not just swapping numbers around. So we'll try to squeeze that in as much as possible. Same with just well, I can go on and on about little animations and little doodads I want to add into things. We'll see if we're able to pull that off. And then finally, Matt made a point when we were waiting to start this. He was like, "Hey, you should show something with the onboarding." And it's like, "Hey, no problem. I'll find something." So um, Alfredo, our creative coordinator, partnered up with Tyler, our UI designer, and they were able to get me this screenshot real quick right before the town hall started. I was like, "Oh, just in time." So this is one of the screens for our onboarding process for a new player. So as they're being introduced into the fantasy world and they're about ready to learn gameplay, then this is one of the screens with a little bit of dialogue. And you'll notice so the professor's name, he was kind of modeled a little bit after Harry Potter, Dumbledore. This is Headmaster Bimbleknock. And you're looking at the academy. You're a new pup learning battle mage card mechanics, and he's one of the professors there helping you out and getting your feet wet with that. Um, Part of what hopefully I'll be sharing more and more of as time goes by is that to us, the onboarding, like Matt made the observation a few town halls, that it's not new player experience, it's the player experience. It is all encompassing. And so what that means is that once we onboard for a new player, then this onboarding experience that feels very narrative driven and very engaging, very immersive, and very fun. I don't want it to seem like just like tedious. We've all been through those tutorials, right, where it's like the floaty hand says point here, point there, and you're not really retaining any of the information. You're just doing what the system tells you to do. Okay, I did it, done. We want it to be engaging and fun, almost like that is the game. Like when you first get into the game, it's like this is almost like a player versus environment type experience, which I think would be cool. Um, Once you're through that onboarding and you understand the fundamentals of the basics of how to play the game, then there'll be a modular system that you can do right away, or it's optional. You could just get into playing and then come back to those modules. But the great thing about this modular system is we're going to be able to, piece by piece, go ahead and say, hey, I want to know be better at tactics. So there'll be a module on tactics, or maybe a new card set comes out like this, like Rebellion just did, and you want to learn how to best use the abilities that were introduced in the Rebellion set, or how to be an expert at playing Rebellion cards specifically. Then there'll be a module for that. Everything you could think of wanting to be good at, there'll be a module for it, and we'll just keep adding more and more modules. And each of these modules will hopefully be, again, like the onboarding experience, immersive, engaging, fun. I can imagine, no promises, but I would love to see some sort of achievement in a system where every time I do a module, I unlock an achievement or I get some sort of reward for it or whatever. I think that would be fun. I don't know if that'll work out that way, but those are the type of ideas that be thrown against the wall, and we're looking at it and saying, what should we do? What should we not do? And those are the conversations being had right now internally as we kind of, make our march towards the promised land of what we want the player experience to be. So I guess bottom line, what I'm saying is, and I'll share more in future town halls, is that yes, we're working on new players, but we're also working towards everybody. Same thing goes for, take for instance the swap screen I just shared. For those of you familiar with conflicts, there was that little academy icon with the little panel that came out and kind of gave you the what am I looking at and why should I care, that stuff. And then a little button to take you to support in case you want to know the how to. That we want to apply to more and more things, including like we're trying. I don't know if it's going to happen at launch, but I'm trying to get an academy icon for that screen as well, so you can go to the trade hub, look at the swap, and be like, if you're new to cryptocurrency, if you're new to blockchain, if you don't know what the heck is going on, then that'll be your safe space. That'll be your having where you can kind of click on that and be like, oh, I get it now, and then click that, go out of the way, and go about your business. Do what you got to do. I think taking players by the hand, whether you're brand new, whether you're a veteran, whether you experience, whether you are, you've been around in the industry for years and years and years, everyone could use a little bit of hand holding, a little bit, just to kind of like make things easier, more intuitive. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think 2024 is the year where we turn things around UX wise. So that's something I'm excited about. What else can we talk about? There is one more thing, I suppose. That is, as a lot of you are aware, we have that Killer Whales coming to Apple TV, I think on March 11th. So we'll see. We might get a lot of eyeballs on Splinterlands and our ecosystem, and that is exciting to see. Part of trying to prepare for that, which is, we're kind of running out of time here, but we're trying. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. The art team is putting the finishing touches on some really cool artwork, which I think we're going to, at least for the next year, possibly 2 years, we might use it as kind of like our branding, along with our new polished logo that we did recently, where we took the old logo and polished it up and made it look better. So in conjunction with the new branding, graphics, and assets, we'll take this new artwork that we're doing and the new copy that the narrative team has done a great job of kind of going through the game at a high level and trying to introduce new people to what it is, that who we are and what we're doing. We're going to go through DApp tracking websites, our social media channels. We're going to go everywhere and try to consistently across the board. All of next week, you'll see little things changing on different sites and even our own social media channels as we try to prepare for that consistent messaging. And so with that in mind, the artwork isn't quite done. I think tomorrow or Monday it'll be finalized, but it's so cool. It's like this panoramic. But since it's not done, I didn't want the art team to yell at me for sharing something that wasn't quite finished. So I just took a little snips and pieces of the artwork and said, well, here, I'll show them at least a little bit, right? A little taste of what's to come. So this is 2 battle mages fighting in the arena, and we're going to display the logo on it. So here's a piece. If you like the fire element, then you'll like you'll like that little piece of the arena. And then if you like the water element, then here's another piece of a battle mage summoning some water creatures. So that'll give you, hopefully whet your appetite for what's to come, and how we intend to kind of like wave that Splinterlands banner and say, hey, come over here. We're doing cool stuff together. I think yeah, I think that's probably enough to go over. I'll pass the baton back to you, Matt.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. I mean, yeah, as always, the stuff looks really great. I am particularly excited for the grain DEC market. For the functionality, and it's, the UI seems to be really well done. And we'll see how that translates to once we get to land phase 2 and there's 50 different resources. But that's going to be the trade hub, as Nate called it, for the internal market for all the land resources. That's pretty exciting. And then I think the whole onboarding experience you guys have put together is great. That whole like modular system, where every time a new feature comes out, we have a new like training module uh, as part of that. So existing players and new players and you can just pick and choose. Like, here's what I want to learn about or work on, and at your own pace. So I'm excited to see that, and I'm excited for you guys to share more of that as the whole thing gets worked out.
Definitely.
Um, I had a few things I wanted to talk about, mostly just going into a little more detail about things that other people have already talked about. And then we're going to get into questions as usual. Obviously, big change went out earlier today. As usual, it went really well. The team did a great job of putting that out without any major issues. Knock on wood, at least so far. Um, and yeah, this is one of those things where it's going to take some time to settle in and see how it goes. And we're going to look for obviously player feedback to see how things are going, what's working, what's not working, over the next season or two. So do play your battles and let us know your thoughts on in the different channels in Discord. And as we kind of talked about last town hall, there's definitely a lot of people on the team check that. Um, and
Speaking of Matt, I'm
yeah,
sorry, can I interject one last thing I forgot, but it kind of rides the coattails of what you were just saying. The Not only that, People's Guild on the chat in YouTube asked, "How can the community help with the new folks coming in?" Um, Lilyfire reminded me. And Lilyfire is great. First of all, her Royal Eagle, the whole support team, Graflar, they're friggin' amazing, um, because there's so much empathy there for the community and how can we help the players, and that really bleeds into not just them but the community as well. And she wanted to make sure that we gave a shout out to all you guys. Know who you are, the community members. We've seen an uprise, an uptick in I don't know, salt kind of going away a little bit and being replaced with a sense of generosity, of hospitality, of welcome. And she just wanted to say, hey, we see you guys. We see you guys doing that. That is so appreciated and so freaking awesome. And I mean things like card delegations. A new player comes in, hey, let me delegate you some cards. SPS delegations, sharing battle strategies, pointing to support articles if people are struggling. Something as simple as liking social media stuff, social media likes and followers and engagement and all that stuff. You guys as a community coming together, as far as the new player experience and all that stuff, that is, I can't think of anything more powerful. It's more powerful than anything we as the company could probably do. So thank you so much for that. I'll shut my mouth. That I just wanted to say that. So go ahead.
yeah, no, I mean that is important in the sense that we can only control so much, what's on the website and those things, which are extremely important. But most serious players, when they start a new game like this, they go right to the Discord. I mean, that's the main place. And then it's up to the community, right? So that's where you guys come in. And obviously, a lot of people in the community are content creators. That always helps. Just getting more content out there to help newer players, and just being helpful and supportive and informative when they come into Discord or other channels. that makes a world of difference, and that's one of our biggest advantages, I think, is clearly our community. And that's a big like welcoming and good sign to players. And obviously, if they come in and see a really like pissed off, angry community that's not helpful, that can be a big turnoff. So that all comes down to you guys, and we very much appreciate. We could use all the help we can get, um, and and hopefully it works out for everyone. To make this game better, to make this product better. Um, so yeah, so I'm not going to go into too much detail over the stuff released earlier today. Investigator went over that. We talked about it last time. But upcoming, we've mentioned a big rework also to the ranked reward system. So currently, we made a lot of changes to how the ranked battles work, and the ladders and leaderboards and ratings and all that. But at the moment, the rewards are still the same. You're still earning the loot chests as always. But that also contains a lot of the same problems we were trying to address. Like when you move up from bronze 1 to silver 3, you probably drop from getting a lot of bronze chests to very few silver chests. And even though those silver chests might have somewhat better stuff in them, it's a drop. So again, we always, one of our main focuses is to encourage players to always move up in rating and make sure that's always better. And we kind of looked at a lot of ways to change around the chess system to make it so like you're clearly always getting more as you move up. Um, and it was suggested an idea that we kind of get rid of just the random chests that we give out and give players the option of what they want to get, with their rewards. And so that's what we're planning to implement, where players, you already get these reward points every time you win a battle. But instead of those just giving you specific chests by default, you'll just earn those points and you'll be able to go to a new page in the shop and spend them. And I think, so one, it'll be very clearly as you move up in rating, you will get more reward points. So it's just always better to move up in rating. There's going to be no place where you move up and you get less stuff. And that's clearly a win, I think. And then I think also giving players the option of what things they want to purchase with those rewards will be good too. So I know there's a lot of players who don't like getting potions. They don't need potions, so potions will be an option for things you can spend your reward points in the shop, but you don't have to if you don't like potions. You want to get reward cards, you can get all reward cards. If you want to get other things, you can get other things. We talked about buying more energy, so people who want to play more can just turn over their rewards into more energy to keep playing more battles to move up more quickly. Whatever it is, and we hope to offer over time. More and more different cool things as we hopefully get to cosmetics at some point in the future. We'll add, different cosmetics into the reward shop, maybe like rotating different things over time. So, players can choose to spend reward points on that. One cool thing that I'd like to implement, from the start is, for the players at the top in Champion League who are going to be getting the bulk of the reward points, to have some like very exclusive titles that cost like lots and lots of reward points that even like champion players might have to save up over a couple seasons to buy these titles. So if players want, they can forego getting other rewards for a little while and save up to get this kind of really big reward. And they'll be one of the only things that are actually like tradable and sellable. Whereas most of the rewards will be the soulbound, like the soulbound reward cards and potions and things like that. We're also planning to make the soulbound reward cards be burnable for more reward points. So that's effectively a dust system. So if you get extra soulbound reward cards or ones that you don't want, you can burn those for more reward points that you can then take back to the shop and buy more reward cards to try to get the ones you want. So there's a lot of things I think fit nicely into that system. And that's something that we hope to be able to get out within the next month or two. And I think that'll kind of cap off the changes and the direction we're going for ranked battles. And then the plan after that, as far as the whole player experience project, is we have been working and talking about the one-click set rentals for a while. So that's going to kind of be the next focus after the reward changes. And again, for anyone that missed it, the idea is that when new players come in, they'll have an option, as part of the whole onboarding experience that we're working on, where once they kind of get into Bronze League, we say, click here, and it will just automatically rent you pretty much all the cards that you'll need to compete in one click, and it basically will spend the credits you get from the spellbook purchase to do that. So it's effectively like free, or like sort of part of a benefit of the spellbook. And then new players don't have to go and try to win battles with just starter cards, or have to figure out how to go on the market and buy or rent individual cards, and they don't know what they need. So it's just a simple like click here, boom, you get everything you need to go for a season or two. Um, and then they can go play and hopefully have a much better experience in the game with a good collection of cards to use. And we want to make sure it's really clear to players what's happening there, right? That they're spending money, that they've part of the money that they spent on the spell book is going to rent these cards, and specifically that the cards are being rented from other players. Like they're not just paying the company, as would normally happen in typical games. Like they're taking some of the money they spent on the spell book, and they are giving it to other players that own these cards to rent them. And that ultimately, if you buy cards yourself, or play and win cards or other assets, you can be the one eventually renting your cards out to new players coming in. So we want to make sure, not only do players have this option, but that they really understand what's going on here and why it's different than traditional games. So I'm looking forward to that, for that like learning experience, and it's a great opportunity very early on to teach new people like what's different about Splinterlands. And two, I think it'll really help the card rental market. I mean, if we are successful bringing in a large group of new players, and then all of them are just kind of by default renting a full deck of modern cards on the market, I think that can eat through rentals pretty quickly. And then all of a sudden rental prices start going up, and then card prices go up, and it's kind of a really, in my opinion, a good, quick, easy way to really get more value going into those areas that we want the value to go into. So that's going to be the next focus. Then we're going to be hopefully implementing the whole onboarding experience that Nate's been showing and talking about, where we'll have these different like modules for new players that take them through all the different things they need to know about the game, take them through buying the spell book, and then doing the one-click rental to get in. So that's kind of the next piece after that. And then sort of while this is all going on, as Investigator mentioned, we're still working on upgrading the rest of the site to, the V Next, as we call it, which is our, tech modernization version, where the desktop website that we have now will also, just kind of by default work on mobile, among other benefits. And so once that project is done and the full site is kind of upgraded, then I'd like to wrap that into a new version of our mobile app, which is not a whole separate code base that needs to be updated separately. But then when every time we add any new features or things into the game, it automatically goes to the mobile app by default. So that's kind of the last piece of the puzzle, in my opinion, is having a good mobile experience, because a lot of new people do come in through mobile, and it would be great to have a full featured and working experience for them. Um, and once all those things are kind of complete, where I'm shooting for roughly a 6-month time frame. So we're looking at summertime. I'm hoping to have most of that stuff in a really good spot. And then I'd like to really turn on the marketing and promotional efforts as much as possible. So once all that's ready, when new players come in and we're really confident that hopefully we can engage them and show them what's so special about this game, what all of you guys see and understand, then I want to go out and get the word out about Splinterlands everywhere, and make sure everyone in this space and outside of this space knows about it and comes in and gives it a try. And I think the timing seems pretty good as far as I can tell. As if we're going into another crypto bull market, there will be interest natively by itself, and if we can have our product at a really good state and we go and push this, as we're going into a bull market, my hope is we can see uh, another boom similar to what we had in 2021. The difference is I think we'll be much, much more prepared for it, right? In 2021, we had releases where everything would break all the time. And even when we weren't having releases, the site would go down all the time. Every end of season, there were problems. The whole team basically had to stop building any new features or doing anything new for like a year to go make sure the site worked. We're not in that position anymore. So I think we're in a much better position where if these things work out, we can really capitalize on it and we can, build out new things and exciting things on a regular basis. The site will, again, knock on wood, be working well through all this and be able to handle the load. So my expectation and my hope is that we could see something that far exceeds what we saw a few years ago in this upcoming cycle. And like everything we are doing now is toward that goal, right? So every priority, everything I think about when we're planning is getting ready and making sure that that happens and that we can capitalize on it. Because ultimately, I think the success of the product, it really comes down to, can we bring in hundreds of thousands of new players and with them new capital? And we have to make sure also that capital goes to the right places. It needs to go to the assets in the ecosystem. So that's why we've been setting things up with, more things being burned or more things going to the DAO versus just going to the company, to make sure when that happens that the capital goes to the resources, the assets that would make the asset values go up, and that is itself free marketing, and that's where again the flywheel effect that we always talk about really comes into play. So I know there's always questions, and I think there's some on the town hall, like pre-sorted questions for tonight about like what are we doing to give alpha cards more value? What are we doing to give this more value, or about this thing and that thing? Ultimately, what we're doing is what I just said. We're working on getting this product to the point where we can get hundreds of thousands of new players, not only like coming to it, but getting really engaged and excited and putting money in to buy assets, and that's going to help the value of all the assets. And then we hope to set it up in such a way that the older cards and the more rare cards are there for the whales, right? That's really what the whales that come in are going to buy, and we want to make sure that there's value for them. So the whales that come in and they want to get involved in land and different things, they're going to want to go after the older cards. But ultimately, if we aren't successful at bringing tons more players in and tons more capital in, then it doesn't matter what little things we mess around with to give alpha cards more value. If there's no more value coming into the game, there's not going to be any more value to go into those cards in the first place. So that is the primary focus of everything. Is just like getting us ready for the next bull market, making sure the product is top notch, the new players that come in have a great experience throughout the whole product. And then that will allow us to have a lot of capital coming into the game that we can make sure gets funneled into the different assets appropriately. So that's like a high level overview of our plan. I know everyone's been asking for a roadmap. I mean, that's the roadmap. We'll try to spend some time, put it in a prettier version at some point, but that's the main plan for the year. Obviously, in addition to that, as a separate track, we are working on land, right? Investigator talked about and Nate also talked about the grain DEC market. That's going to be the next release for land. We talked about the other like the 1.6 things, and we're still working very hard on the whole 2.0 version. I posted in official announcements a little earlier that the white paper for 2.0, which had been revealed on our blog a little while ago, is now live on Gipbook, so everyone can take a look at that. It's still very much a work in progress. But to answer the question again about how are we giving value to alpha and beta cards, that's literally what land is. I know it's taking a long time, and I want it to be done yesterday, just like everybody else does. But that is literally the plan. Like that's kind of one of the entire ideas around the land expansion, is giving value to old cards. And as we get into phase 2 and beyond, the a lot of focus is going to be on the older and more valuable cards as the best way to get the most value out of land and produce the new cards.